They told you that you are your body, that your thoughts come from your brain, that your emotions are just chemical reactions, that your soul, if they acknowledged one, was a concept, not a force. They trained you to trust only what you can touch, measure, and quantify. They wrapped your entire identity inside a box labeled physical being and sealed it with the tape of societal conditioning. But that is the greatest deception ever sold to the human mind. You've been operating at a fragment of your true power, and it's not your fault. You were born into a system that trained you to think small, to reduce your consciousness to flesh and neurons, to trade awareness for functionality. You're not just a body. You're not just a mind. You are a multidimensional being with 4 distinct yet interconnected layers: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And until you recognize them, align them, and consciously integrate them, your potential remains locked behind invisible walls. Here's the truth. Everything is energy. From your heartbeat to your thoughts, from your dreams to your DNA, it's all frequency. Every single experience you've ever had is a byproduct of the energetic state of these 4 bodies. But because you were never taught how to identify them, let alone work with them, you've been spinning in loops, reliving patterns, attracting the same outcomes, hitting walls you can't explain. This video is not about feel-good affirmations or shallow spiritual trends. It's about power, the kind that rewires your perception and rewrites your reality. By the end of this, you'll understand how your soul's 4 bodies shape everything. Your emotions, your decisions, your manifestations, your success. More importantly, you'll see how to finally shift from fragmented to integrated, from reaction to intention, from unconscious existence to total alignment. You'll learn why most people are stuck operating at 25% of their potential, and how to break out of it. How each of your 4 bodies influences your energy field. The quantum principles that prove your reality responds to your internal configuration. And how to reprogram each body to unlock a level of clarity, power, and flow that feels almost supernatural. But let's be clear. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about mastering it. You are not here to transcend the world. You are here to transform within it. And the key lies in understanding the system running underneath your surface, the hidden network of 4 bodies that silently dictate your experience of life. Think about it. Have you ever set an intention but felt a block you couldn't name? Have you ever tried to stay positive, only to be dragged down by emotions that didn't match your thoughts? Have you ever sensed something was missing, even when everything should be fine? Those are signals, clues that your bodies are out of sync. So before we talk about healing or manifestation, before we even approach spiritual concepts, you need to grasp what you really are. Not in theory, not in metaphor, in energetic mechanics. Because only then can you align the forces that were designed to work in harmony but have been conditioned to work in chaos. Let's break the silence. Let's decode the structure of your soul. You're not lazy, you're not broken, and you're definitely not lacking discipline or intelligence. If you feel stuck in life, there's a deeper reason. And it has nothing to do with your productivity hacks, your vision board, or how early you wake up. The reason you feel like you're moving in circles is because your 4 bodies are out of sync. Plain and simple. Let's start by understanding what it means to be stuck. It's not just about lack of progress. It's a state of energetic dissonance, a silent war between parts of you that are meant to work together. You can have a sharp mental plan, but if your emotional body is holding unresolved trauma or fear, you'll sabotage yourself before you even begin. You can have spiritual insights during meditation, but if your physical habits contradict those realizations, the transformation never lands in your reality. This misalignment creates friction. That friction drains your energy, and that's what keeps you stuck. Here's the breakdown. The mental body controls your beliefs, thoughts, logic, and imagination. It shapes how you perceive possibilities and threats. If you've been conditioned with scarcity, guilt, or self-doubt, your mind will find reasons to avoid success, even when opportunity knocks. It will argue for your limitations, rationalize your failures, and build internal glass ceilings. The most dangerous prison is the one you don't realize you're in. The emotional body is the container of your felt experience. It's where energy becomes movement, joy, sadness, anger, fear. These emotional charges are not random. They're memories stored in frequency. When you suppress them, they don't disappear. They get stuck in your energetic field and act like static interference. You'll try to create something new, but the emotional body will echo old pain, and your vibration will contradict your intentions. The spiritual body is the part of you that exists beyond identity and time. It's your connection to source, to higher intelligence, to the universal blueprint. When this body is ignored, people often feel lost, numb, or disconnected, like they're chasing things that don't satisfy. You can be successful and still feel hollow because your inner compass isn't pointing anywhere meaningful. The spiritual body gives purpose to your actions. Without it, even achievement feels empty. The physical body is the last layer, the receiver and transmitter of all the others. It processes thought through brain activity, emotion through hormones and nerves, and spirit through movement and breath. If your physical habits are misaligned with your inner shifts, nothing sticks. You can read all the books and listen to all the teachings, but if your body is exhausted, toxic, or overstimulated, none of that wisdom translates into change. The physical body is the mirror of your internal frequency. Now, here's the catch. Most people only address one of these bodies when they try to change their lives. They go to therapy and work on the mental level but ignore emotional residue. They meditate to feel spiritual peace, but stay in toxic physical environments. They change their diet but never clear their inner pain. They read books on success but carry subconscious guilt around abundance. Each of these efforts is a puzzle piece. But without the other pieces, the picture never forms. That's why personal growth often feels frustrating. You take steps forward, then slide back. You get insights, but your life doesn't reflect them. That inconsistency isn't failure, it's fragmentation. You're using only part of your system and expecting a complete result. There's another layer to this: feedback loops. Your four bodies are constantly talking to each other. A limiting belief, mental, can trigger fear, emotional, which lowers your vibration, spiritual, which affects your health or posture, physical. That new physical state sends signals back to your brain, confirming the original belief, and the cycle repeats. This is how people stay stuck for years without knowing why. Now, here's where things get real. Your external reality is responding to the average frequency of your four bodies. Not just your thoughts, not just your heart, not just your spiritual awareness. All four. If even one of them is lagging behind, it drags the others with it. That's why you can do everything right and still see no change. You're pushing with one hand while the other is pulling in the opposite direction. But here's the good news. The moment you understand the structure, you gain leverage. You can begin to synchronize your four bodies, and when that happens, reality doesn't resist you, it responds. Fast. Why? Because your energy field becomes coherent. You're no longer sending mixed signals into the quantum field. You're broadcasting a unified command, and the universe follows coherence, not confusion. Let's take it deeper. Each of the four bodies holds its own intelligence. The mental body doesn't care how you feel. It just wants clarity and logic. The emotional body doesn't care about logic. It wants to feel safe and acknowledged. The spiritual body doesn't care about safety. It wants truth and alignment. The physical body doesn't care about truth. It wants nourishment and rhythm. When one of these intelligences dominates the others, imbalance happens. For example, if your mind overrides your emotions for too long, you lose the ability to feel authentically. If you over-spiritualize without grounding in the body, you become disconnected from the world. If you worship the body without cultivating the mind or spirit, you fall into survival mode. True growth happens when you create a council, not a dictatorship, when each body has a seat at the table. So the real question is not why am I stuck, but which part of me isn't being heard? Is your mind replaying old narratives? Is your emotional body still protecting wounds from childhood? Is your spirit trying to guide you, but you're not listening? Is your body asking for rest, movement, or nourishment, but you keep overriding it? This awareness is the starting point. The path forward is not to fix everything at once, but to restore the conversation between these four bodies. That's when energy begins to flow again. That's when progress becomes natural instead of forced. To get unstuck, you don't need more effort. You need alignment. Coherence is the new currency of power. In the next part, we'll dissect each of the 4 bodies in detail, what they are, how they operate, and how to tune them to a higher frequency. Because once you understand their roles, you'll stop fighting your own system and start working with it. That's when the stuckness breaks. That's when the shift begins. Your life is the sum total of your energy. Not just how much energy you have, but how it flows, how it's blocked, and how it's expressed through the 4 distinct bodies that make up your being. These 4 bodies are not metaphorical. They are energetic structures that exist and interact within your multidimensional field. Most people live unaware of this system, which is why their manifestations feel slow, their healing feels incomplete, and their personal growth feels fragmented. Let's break them down and make it real. The physical body is the most visible, tangible layer of your energy system. It's your vehicle, your interface with the material world. Every organ, cell, nerve, hormone, and muscle is a receiver and transmitter of energy. But here's what most people miss. Your body doesn't just reflect your inner world. It also influences it. Poor posture reinforces low confidence. Shallow breathing amplifies anxiety. Inactivity numbs intuition. Your physical habits are not just health choices, they're energy statements. If your body is tense, overstimulated, undernourished, or addicted to stimulants, it cannot properly receive guidance from your higher levels. The signal becomes distorted. Everything you do physically, what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, either upgrades or degrades your energy system. A blocked physical body slows down all other bodies. The solution isn't extreme biohacking. It's conscious attention. It's listening to what your body actually needs, not from a place of punishment or vanity, but as an act of energetic respect. The physical body is your foundation. If it's misaligned, everything else wobbles. Your emotional body stores every feeling you've ever had, and every feeling you refuse to feel. Joy, sorrow, grief, anger, shame, excitement. These emotions are energy in motion. When they are felt fully, they pass through. When they're resisted, they freeze. Emotions have charge. That charge either raises your vibration or distorts it. And most people are walking around with frozen charge in their field, still echoing the frequency of a trauma from 10 years ago. That old betrayal, that childhood wound, that heartbreak. It's all stored in the emotional body unless it's been truly released. Suppression isn't healing. Intellectualizing isn't healing. Healing only happens when emotion is allowed to surface, move, and exit the body. Until then, your emotional body acts like a magnet, pulling in experiences that match its unresolved frequencies. That's why the same patterns keep repeating. You're not attracting them because you deserve them. You're attracting them because they match the unresolved emotional signature in your field. The emotional body wants one thing: truth. It doesn't need you to fix the past. It needs you to feel what you didn't feel back then. That's what clears the signal. That's what makes room for new energy to come in. Your thoughts are not just ideas floating in your head. They are energetic structures that create resonance fields. Your mental body is the layer that houses beliefs, patterns, conditioning, stories, and imagination. It's like a code base. Whatever's in that code shapes how you perceive reality, and therefore what you allow into it. If your mental body is filled with scarcity programming, you will reject abundance subconsciously. If it's been conditioned to fear failure, you will procrastinate as a form of safety. If you carry guilt, your mind will create narratives to punish or limit yourself. The mental body isn't evil. It's just obedient. It mirrors whatever it's been fed, and it filters your entire experience through that lens. Reprogramming the mental body is not just about thinking positively. That's cosmetic. True change comes from identifying the root patterns and consciously rewriting them. This involves repetition, presence, and replacing old narratives with higher frequency truths. When the mental body aligns with your higher truth, everything begins to organize around that clarity. Your mental body is your command center. If it's not running clean code, your external life will be full of glitches. This is the subtlest and most powerful body. The spiritual body is your direct link to source, to the quantum field, to the part of you that remembers who you are beyond the human role. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in knowing, in silence, in alignment. When your spiritual body is disconnected or ignored, life becomes mechanical. You might still be productive, but it will feel empty. You might still succeed, but you'll question what it's all for. That numbness is not depression. It's the call of the soul that's been silenced by distraction. Your spiritual body is always guiding you through intuition, synchronicity, and inner resonance. But most people override this guidance with mental noise or emotional confusion. They think spirituality is about rituals or beliefs. It's not. It's about alignment. When your spiritual body is active, you don't need external validation. You feel your path, and that knowing becomes your compass. Tuning into this body means creating space for silence, for asking deeper questions, and for honoring your inner authority. It means being willing to let go of identities that don't serve your higher evolution. The spiritual body is not separate from your life. It's the blueprint behind it. Now here's the key. These four bodies are not isolated. They are stacked systems. Energy flows from the top down and influence moves from the bottom up. Your spiritual body sets the tone. Your mental body interprets it. Your emotional body reacts to it. Your physical body expresses it. If any layer is blocked or distorted, it interferes with the signal. That's why a brilliant mind can still sabotage its own success. That's why a spiritually aware person can still feel stuck. That's why a healthy body can still carry emotional pain. Balance isn't about perfection. It's about coherence, each body doing its job in harmony with the others. You can't force this balance. You can only create the conditions for it to return naturally. That begins with awareness. It begins with listening to each layer of yourself, not as separate problems to fix, but as aspects of the same energetic organism. The more you respect and tune each body, the more your life begins to shift. Not because you're doing more, but because your entire field becomes aligned with a clear, consistent frequency. And energy always follows clarity. You are not just a mind with a body. You are a four-body being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. When these bodies unite, you don't just manifest a better life. You become it. Chaos isn't random. It's not an accident or simply how life is. It's engineered subtly and consistently by forces within and outside of you that thrive on your misalignment. What most people call bad luck, misfortune, or emotional instability often has far deeper roots. When you start to feel like life is spiraling, it's rarely because of one obvious thing. It's usually because your four bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, are being fragmented by forces that prefer you unconscious. The first and most dangerous of these forces is programmed perception. From early childhood, you are taught to see the world in a certain way. These beliefs are embedded not only through language but through repetition and emotional conditioning. You're told what's possible and what's impossible, what's normal and what's not, what's real and what's imaginary. This shaping of perception is not harmless. It becomes the very lens through which you experience everything. The result? You respond to life based on outdated, inherited, or manipulated interpretations rather than direct truth. Second, consider the role of unintegrated emotions. Emotions are not random sensations. They are energy in motion, signals that something within you needs to be seen, processed, or transformed. But instead of being taught how to work with these signals, you're often told to suppress them, deny them, or distract yourself. This causes energetic blocks in the emotional body. The result is a buildup of unprocessed emotion that distorts your thoughts, drains your vitality, and creates chaotic reactions that feel involuntary. These suppressed emotions don't just go away. They become triggers, patterns, and eventually self-sabotage mechanisms. Then comes thought loops generated by the mental body. Most people operate on a mental autopilot. The same thoughts are recycled every day, often negative, fear-based, or self-limiting. You believe you're thinking freely, but you're actually just repeating scripts planted over time. These loops create feedback cycles with your emotional body. A fearful thought creates a stressful emotion, which reinforces the thought, which deepens the emotion. And this cycle repeats, sometimes for years. When the mental and emotional bodies are locked in this loop, your physical health starts deteriorating, and your spiritual connection becomes faint or blocked. The fourth force is energetic dissonance. You are constantly absorbing and emitting frequencies. When you're surrounded by environments, relationships, or habits that conflict with your authentic energy signature, your system goes into constant resistance. This dissonance is subtle but powerful. It causes fatigue, confusion, disorientation, and emotional instability. You might blame external events for how you feel, but the root is often an energetic mismatch between your current life and your true essence. This disconnect creates a form of chaos that feels like stagnation, but it's actually misalignment. Another hidden force is spiritual disconnection. In the modern world, spirituality is either commodified or ignored. Yet your spiritual body is the command center, the part of you that connects all others. When the spiritual body is ignored or undernourished, the other bodies lose their coherence. You may feel lost, anxious, or like something is missing, even when everything on the surface appears fine. This is not a psychological defect. It's a signal that your internal compass is not aligned to your higher awareness. And without that, the other three bodies operate in survival mode. Let's not forget the influence of external energetic interference. Whether you refer to it as mass media, social programming, or energetic vampirism, there are systems in place that extract your attention and energy for their benefit. Every distraction you allow, every conflict you absorb, every fear narrative you internalize, these are energetic hooks. They're not accidental. They keep you emotionally reactive, mentally scattered, spiritually numb, and physically drained. These systems are not easily visible, which is why they're so effective. They thrive on your confusion. The less aware you are, the more power they gain. Now let's explore how these forces interact. When you experience chronic stress, your emotional body goes into overdrive. That stress hijacks your mental clarity. The mental confusion then influences your decisions, leading to physical burnout. When all of this becomes a daily experience, your spiritual body becomes distant. Not because it disappears, but because the noise drowns out its subtle guidance. This is how misalignment becomes your default setting. Not because you're broken, but because you're divided. But the real chaos begins when these forces go unnoticed. When you're unaware of how much your energy is being siphoned by your own thoughts, unresolved emotions, mismatched environments, and external influences, you lose your sovereignty. You think you're functioning at full capacity, but you're operating with fractured access to your potential. That's not life. That's survival masked as normalcy. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Alignment isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. If your four bodies aren't in communication, if they aren't syncing to a shared frequency, then everything becomes harder than it needs to be. Your manifestations delay. Your energy fluctuates. Your clarity disappears. You can spend years chasing goals that were never yours to begin with because you were out of tune with your essence. These forces don't need your permission to influence you. They only need your distraction. The moment you start paying attention, the control begins to loosen. But awareness alone isn't enough. You must begin to dismantle these internal imbalances layer by layer, and that starts with identifying them. Ask yourself, are the majority of your thoughts empowering or repetitive? Do your emotions feel like allies or enemies? Is your physical body treated as a sacred vessel or a machine? When was the last time you felt truly spiritually connected, without relying on external stimuli? Your answers will reveal how deep the chaos runs. And remember, chaos isn't the enemy. It's a messenger. It points to what's misaligned. But until you decode it, it will continue to rule silently. The goal is not to control every detail of your life. The goal is to reclaim internal alignment so that the external chaos loses its grip on your state of being. Once your four bodies operate in harmony, these hidden forces become powerless. Their influence fades. Their urgency dies out. And in its place, a quiet knowing rises. One that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Most people think energy alignment is a vague spiritual concept reserved for yogis, mystics, or high-vibe lifestyles. That's the first lie. The truth is far more grounded and far more confronting. Your entire life is a mirror of your energy alignment, whether you're aware of it or not. It determines what you attract, how you interpret reality, and what outcomes you repeatedly experience. And if you're misaligned, no amount of hard work, strategy, or motivation will give you lasting results. Energy alignment isn't just about feeling good or staying calm. It's not about avoiding conflict, always being positive, or burning sage on the weekends. Real alignment is ruthless. It exposes everything in your life that doesn't resonate with your true frequency. This includes your beliefs, your job, your relationships, your habits, and even your sense of identity. When you begin aligning with your authentic energy, things don't always get easier, they get real. Let's begin with a fundamental truth. Your energy is not random. It is the sum total of your four bodies: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, operating either in harmony or in distortion. When they are aligned, your frequency becomes coherent. This coherence creates clarity, flow, and attraction power. When they are out of sync, your frequency becomes fragmented. This fragmentation creates confusion, resistance, and repeated setbacks that feel inexplicable. What people call bad luck is often the result of inner misalignment. You might be taking action, thinking positive, working hard, but if your emotional body is carrying resentment, if your mental body is replaying fear loops, if your physical body is neglected, or your spiritual connection is dry, you're sending mixed frequencies into the field. The universe, which responds to your dominant energetic signature, reflects that back. Not what you want, what you are. Here's the shocking part. Alignment doesn't require effort. It requires truth. The moment you become brutally honest about what feels energetically congruent and what doesn't, your frequency starts to recalibrate. But this isn't as easy as it sounds. Because the truth doesn't just reveal what's right for you, it reveals what's false. And if you've built a life on what's false, false beliefs, false roles, false desires, then alignment threatens the entire structure. This is why so many people subconsciously resist alignment. It's not that they can't find their purpose or raise their vibration. It's that doing so would mean leaving behind everything they've used to define themselves. Their job, their relationship, their social image, their ambitions. Real alignment doesn't upgrade the mask. It removes it. And without that mask, many feel exposed, vulnerable, and unprepared. But if you understand this, you've already broken through the first layer of programming. Because once you stop fearing the loss of what's false, you create space for what's true. You stop chasing validation. You stop settling for crumbs. You stop negotiating your essence to fit into systems that never had your best interest at heart. The second shocking truth: energy alignment is not a destination. It's a state you hold. It's not something you reach after 10 years of self-work. It's something you tune into now, moment by moment. Every decision, every thought, every emotion is either reinforcing your alignment or weakening it. There is no neutrality. Every micro-choice shapes your frequency, and your frequency shapes your outcomes. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. But you do need to become energetically self-aware. This means asking yourself regularly, is this aligned? Not is this safe? Or is this normal? But is this true to who I really am? Most of the chaos in people's lives comes from ignoring that one question. They stay in relationships that drain them, jobs that cage them, beliefs that shame them, and then wonder why they feel stuck. It's not the external thing keeping them trapped. It's their refusal to honor the misalignment. Third, energy alignment is not a passive state. It demands boundaries, not just physical boundaries, energetic ones. You can't align with your highest self while constantly surrounding yourself with people, environments, and media that anchor you to your lower self. Every person and place carries a frequency. Some elevate you, some dilute you. Alignment requires you to discern the difference and act accordingly. This doesn't mean becoming isolated or judgmental. It means becoming precise with your energy. You stop saying yes out of guilt. You stop explaining your evolution. You stop leaking energy just to maintain appearances. Because once you experience what true alignment feels like, the clarity, the power, the peace, you'll never betray yourself again just to be accepted. Let's talk about the physical body, often the most ignored layer of energy alignment. You cannot maintain energetic coherence if your body is neglected. What you eat, how you breathe, your sleep patterns, your movement, these directly impact your frequency. A sluggish, toxic, undernourished body lowers your vibrational set point, no matter how spiritual or motivated you think you are. True alignment grounds your spiritual awareness through your physical vessel. You are not here to escape the body, you're here to embody your highest frequency through it. Now here's what they don't tell you. Aligned people become energetically incompatible with certain realities. This is not something you force, it's something that just happens. You may outgrow friends without conflict. You may lose interest in entertainment that once thrilled you. You may find that certain foods, conversations, or habits just no longer fit. This isn't arrogance. It's energetic truth. When your frequency rises, what no longer matches it begins to fall away, effortlessly. This process can feel lonely, but that's only because you're detoxing from frequencies that kept you numb. The space that opens up isn't a void. It's a blank canvas. It's your soul making room for what actually belongs. You'll notice you start attracting synchronicities instead of stress. Conversations become more meaningful. Opportunities feel magnetized. That's not luck, that's coherence. Here's the final truth. Energy alignment is your natural state. Misalignment is what you were taught. You were conditioned to betray your inner guidance, to conform to fear-based expectations, to silence your intuition in favor of logic. But none of that is original to you. Alignment doesn't require you to become someone else. It requires you to unlearn everything that made you forget who you already are. If you feel lost, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been navigating with a compass designed to keep you dependent. Realignment starts the moment you stop outsourcing your direction. When your four bodies are in communication, when your thoughts, emotions, spirit, and physical habits support each other, you become unstoppable. You stop reacting. You start creating, not from force but from frequency. That is the shocking truth. Energy alignment isn't magic. It's math. It's coherence. And it's available to you right now, not after another self-help course or spiritual retreat. It begins the moment you say no to what isn't you, and yes to what has always been. There's a silent divide in the world of manifestation. Some people think a thought, feel a desire, and reality bends in their favor almost immediately. Others spend years visualizing, affirming, working relentlessly, and see little to no change. This isn't coincidence. It's not luck. It's not favoritism by the universe. It's alignment, or more accurately, the lack of it. Manifestation isn't a wish list. It's an energetic process governed by strict laws. And those laws don't care about your intentions. They respond to your frequency. Let's pull apart the mechanics of this phenomenon and understand why some people experience near-instant outcomes, while others struggle for years. Many are taught that thinking positively will create a new reality. This is only partially true. A thought is like a signal broadcasted out into the field of potential, but it's your frequency, your embodied, consistent energy that determines what bounces back. A person can think, "I'm abundant," while their subconscious is broadcasting lack. They can visualize success while emotionally resonating with fear and doubt. The universe doesn't respond to the words in your mind. It responds to the dominant energetic signature you hold in your body, especially in your emotional and subconscious layers. Those who manifest quickly aren't necessarily more spiritual. They're in energetic congruence. What they think, feel, believe, and embody are in sync. Their four bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, are harmonized. That creates energetic coherence. And in coherence, manifestation becomes rapid. People rarely realize that their nervous system places an invisible cap on what they're able to receive. You may consciously want success, love, or abundance, but if your body associates those things with danger, because of past trauma, social conditioning, or inherited beliefs, then your nervous system will sabotage or reject them. This happens not out of malice, but protection. If wealth once led to abandonment in your family line, your body may associate wealth with loss. If love once led to betrayal, your nervous system might shut down every opportunity for intimacy. Those who manifest instantly often have nervous systems that feel safe receiving what they desire. They are not in internal conflict. There's no hidden fear fighting against their intentions. To manifest effectively, you must expand your nervous system's capacity to hold more. More joy, more trust, more uncertainty, more power. Otherwise, you unconsciously block what you're asking for. You cannot outperform your self-concept. That's the boundary of your manifestation field. Your identity, the deep, often unspoken narrative you believe about who you are, acts like a filter through which all intentions are passed. If you identify as someone who always struggles, your energy will align with struggle. If you hold the belief that nothing ever works out for me, then even your most inspired actions will collapse into disappointment. On the other hand, those who manifest quickly often possess identities like, things always work out for me. I am worthy of every good thing. The universe supports my desires. These beliefs aren't affirmations. They're lived truths, embedded into the subconscious. To change your reality, you must upgrade your identity. Because reality responds to who you are being, not what you are doing. This is where the real distinction lies. Most people live fragmented, thinking one thing, feeling another, spiritually disconnected, and physically misaligned. That split creates energetic distortion, and manifestation stalls in distortion. People who manifest with speed and precision have alignment between all four of their soul's bodies. Mental body. Their thoughts are clear, focused, and supportive. Emotional body. Their feelings match their intentions, calm, certain, expectant. Spiritual body. They are connected to a higher force or internal guidance system that provides direction. Physical body. Their actions and habits are congruent with what they desire to receive. There is no contradiction between what they want and how they live. That coherence creates a vibrational match with their desired outcome, and manifestation becomes not only possible but predictable. Here's a critical point. Delay in manifestation is not punishment. It's feedback. The lag between intention and result exists to show you where you are fragmented. If you're not manifesting what you want, the question isn't why not. It's where am I out of sync with it? You might think you want love, but you fear vulnerability. You might believe you want money, but secretly feel guilt around wealth. These internal contradictions act like interference in your energetic field, distorting the signal and delaying the outcome. Those who manifest quickly have minimal interference. Their internal field is clean. There's no static, no noise, just signal. Expectation is the bridge. People who manifest fast don't just hope. It's already real to them. They expect results. Not in an arrogant way, but in a grounded certainty. Their desires aren't fantasies, they're inevitabilities. They speak, move, and feel from the place of already having. This expectation locks the frequency in place. It eliminates doubt. Doubt is decay in the manifestation field. It weakens the structure. Expectation stabilizes it. When you hold the frequency of, I know it's done, reality begins reconfiguring around that truth. Emotion is the catalyst. There is no such thing as emotionless manifestation. Emotion is the activator. High-frequency emotions, gratitude, joy, certainty, peace, act like fuel in the quantum field. They charge the intention with power. Low-frequency emotions, fear, frustration, scarcity, short-circuit the signal. Instant manifestors are not emotional robots. They're emotionally intelligent. They choose their state with intention. They feel as if their desire has already arrived. That emotional consistency generates gravitational force in their favor. The universe does not block you, you block yourself. Every time you say, this isn't working, you send a contradictory command. Every time you question, when will it happen? You introduce lack. Every time you revisit the absence of your desire, you reinforce separation. People who manifest quickly are masters of focus. They don't check for proof, they become the proof. They don't beg reality, they command it through coherence. If you want manifestation to speed up, remove the static. Align your thought, feeling, identity, and behavior. Let no part of you contradict the vision. It's not about being special. It's about being congruent. The universe isn't random. It's responsive. The reason some people manifest instantly isn't because they're more deserving. It's because they're more aligned. They've cleared the blocks, synced their frequency, and made their energy match their desire. When you become a vibrational match, you stop chasing reality, and reality starts responding to you. There is no true awakening, no lasting manifestation, no personal revolution without integration. You are not a mind alone. You are not a body, not a fleeting emotional current, not a spiritual echo lost in time. You are a convergence, a system of 4 energetic bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, each transmitting frequency, each shaping your field of reality in real time. The reason most people stay stuck, spinning in cycles of frustration and half-manifested outcomes, is because their 4 bodies are at war with each other. You cannot move forward when parts of you are pulling in opposite directions. You cannot access your full power when your mental scripts contradict your emotional states, when your spirit longs for expansion but your habits anchor you in limitation. Power only flows where there is congruence. The moment your 4 bodies speak the same energetic language, the system activates. Manifestation accelerates. Internal friction dissolves. You enter a zone of clarity and command that feels effortless because there is no resistance left in your field. Most people only try to change one layer. They think if they change their thoughts, everything will change. But a positive affirmation cannot override emotional wounding. A spiritual insight cannot rewire decades of unconscious physical habits. A healthy body cannot thrive if the emotional field is full of shame. You cannot cherry-pick your growth. If you want access to full-spectrum power, all 4 bodies must sync. That sync is not a mystical accident. It's a deliberate practice. The mental body must carry clarity, not chaos. Your thoughts must be grounded in truth, not soaked in past narratives that no longer serve. What you think about yourself sets the blueprint for how the rest of your system operates. Every thought is a command, and most people run commands that directly oppose what they say they want. They think in loops of failure, distrust, and scarcity, all while hoping for abundance. That is an incoherent field, and incoherence collapses manifestation. The emotional body is often the most neglected and the most powerful. It is the fuel that drives the signal. Most people feel what they've been conditioned to feel: habitual fear, repressed anger, background anxiety. They don't recognize that their emotional setpoint determines how the universe responds. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you emotionally accept as normal. The emotional body must be calibrated to match the frequency of what you desire. If you want peace, you must become emotionally familiar with it. If you want power, your system must stop identifying with helplessness. Emotions must not be managed, they must be mastered. The spiritual body is your field of connection. This is where you either operate from separation or source. Most people are fragmented spiritually because they outsource their power to external systems, beliefs, or ideologies. The truth is, no external system will ever sync your 4 bodies. That is your responsibility. You must learn to access your inner signal, your core intuitive field, and let it become the anchor for how you move in the world. Spiritual syncing happens when you stop seeking and start knowing. You do not need to find power. You need to clear what blocks its expression. And most of those blocks are spiritual misunderstandings about who you are and what you're capable of. The physical body is the final expression of your field. It is not just a container, it is a transmitter. Every action, every habit, every movement is either a reinforcement or a contradiction of your energetic field. You cannot meditate on abundance and then physically act from lack. You cannot visualize strength and then treat your body like a burden. The physical body must embody the truth your other bodies are signaling. Movement, posture, breath, nutrition, rest, these are not surface-level routines. They are how you stabilize your internal shifts. If your physical body is not aligned with your mental clarity, emotional intelligence, and spiritual knowing, the system breaks down. When these 4 bodies are out of sync, you experience chaos. When they are partially aligned, you experience temporary results. But when they fully sync, You experience stability, momentum, and effortless manifestation. Sync is not about perfection. It is about harmony. It is about reducing friction. The moment you start noticing where your four bodies contradict each other, you reclaim the power to shift them. Most people never question why their habits fight their desires, why their feelings betray their affirmations, why their body resists the vision their soul holds. They assume it's fate or failure or bad luck. But it's just misalignment. And misalignment is correctable. You do not need more information, you need internal integration. To sync your four bodies, you must become ruthlessly self-aware. Not judgmental, but precise. You must track the thoughts that weaken your system and eliminate them. You must feel the emotions that have been buried and clear them. You must align your spiritual intention with your lived reality. And you must discipline your body to act in integrity with your highest self. This is not about bypassing. It's not about pretending to be healed. It's about syncing your system so fully that the energy you emit is pure, stable, and undeniable. People will feel it when you enter a room. Opportunities will find you. Resistance will decrease. You will no longer ask for things, you will become the frequency that attracts them. The power to manifest instantly is not locked in a book, a guru, or a secret. It's coded into your energetic structure. And the structure responds to alignment. When your four bodies speak the same frequency, reality obeys. Time bends. Paths open. Your vision becomes your new baseline. But you cannot fake the sync. You cannot skip the layers. Mental clarity without emotional truth is delusion. Emotional depth without spiritual direction is chaos. Spiritual intention without physical action is stagnation. Physical performance without mental discipline is burnout. All four bodies must rise together. That is the path to instant power. That is how you stop leaking energy and start commanding outcomes. You don't need to heal everything. You just need to unify your field. The universe does not reward struggle. It responds to signal. The clearer and more congruent your signal, the faster your reality shifts. Sync your four bodies, and you will no longer chase alignment. You will become it. And in that state, power is not something you seek. It's something you naturally express. The statement "as above, so below" is not poetic. It's not metaphor. It is physics. It is energetic law. It is the architecture of your existence. Your inner state is the exact mirror of cosmic structure. And nowhere is this more visible than through your solar connection. The sun is not just a ball of fire in the sky. It is the central command of this system, the generator of frequency, light, and order. And just as the planets orbit the sun, your four energetic bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, orbit the inner sun within you. The degree to which you are aligned with this internal source determines the coherence of your field and the stability of your reality. When your inner sun dims, through confusion, suppression, self-abandonment, your entire life begins to spin off-center. You experience distortion, misalignment, and chaos. But when you reconnect to the solar current within, you regain gravitational control. You stop reacting. You start commanding. The sun's role in the macrocosm is identical to the solar center within you. It radiates. It sustains. It illuminates. It does not ask permission. It does not retreat. It simply is. And this is exactly how your energy field is meant to operate. You are not here to reflect. You are here to project. You are not here to be shaped by circumstance. You are here to shape it by holding a constant signal. The people who live in constant reaction, anxiety, and external dependence are disconnected from their solar core. Their energy fluctuates wildly because it is not being sourced from within. It's being drained outward into every stimulus, every opinion, every emotional high and crash. The internal solar connection breaks this cycle. It is not a philosophy. It's a technology. Your body is wired for it. Your system is built around it. But like any power source, if it's covered in layers of interference, old conditioning, unresolved emotions, spiritual fog, it cannot transmit properly. The reason the sun is a perfect metaphor for your energetic sovereignty is because it operates from consistency. The sun never has to try to shine. It is the central power of its system because of what it is, not because of what it does. This is your energetic blueprint. When you reconnect to your own solar frequency, you stop trying to control every external outcome, and instead stabilize your own field so powerfully that your reality begins to shift around you. This is not imagination. This is energy mechanics. The sun holds the planets in orbit through gravitational pull. You hold your experiences in orbit through energetic consistency. That's why as above, so below isn't just mystical, it's strategic. Your microcosmic structure follows the same rules as the macrocosmic order. This connection also explains why people feel unstable when they lose clarity. Without that solar center, the mind spins, emotions spiral, the body tenses, and the spirit feels lost. Clarity is solar. Purpose is solar. Focus is solar. Distraction is lunar. Confusion is fog. In ancient systems, the sun has always represented consciousness, raw, undiluted awareness. And awareness is what gives you the power to choose rather than react. Your awareness, when sourced from within rather than fragmented outward, becomes the axis around which everything else aligns. You stop seeking validation because you understand that the field responds to you, not the other way around. And when your awareness is solar, your thoughts become directive, your emotions become stable, your spirit becomes grounded, and your physical body follows with discipline and vitality. People misunderstand their relationship with the cosmos. They think alignment with the universe is something abstract, something to be accessed through rituals or beliefs. But the truest form of cosmic alignment is inner structural coherence. The sun does not align with the galaxy by accident. It is part of a network of gravitational and energetic order. And the same principle applies to you. When your thoughts, emotions, actions, and spiritual identity all orbit a single coherent intention, you enter that universal current. Your life begins to operate according to higher laws, not because you deserve it, because you're finally aligned with the mechanism that sustains it. This is why fragmented people struggle to manifest, to stabilize, to grow. They have no central energetic anchor. They try to manifest with their mind, but their emotions are unstable. They try to take action, but their spiritual field is incoherent. They try to feel confident, but their body is exhausted. This is what happens when you're orbiting chaos instead of clarity. The solar connection fixes this not through effort but through alignment. The stronger your inner sun, the less you chase, the less you apologize, the less you need to explain yourself. People and events begin to organize themselves around you, not because you're forcing them to, but because your energetic gravity has increased. Just like the sun, you begin to hold space. You begin to emit order, and disorder either realigns or leaves your field entirely. What most people call luck, charisma, or magnetism is simply solar connection in action. When someone is fully connected to their internal source, they carry a vibrational density that shapes perception, behavior, and outcome. You feel it when they walk in a room. You remember them without knowing why. Their field is not just loud, it is organized. The solar being doesn't move faster, they move cleaner. They don't force outcomes, they stabilize frequency. This is the secret to power that lasts. Not random spikes of success followed by collapse, but sustained radiance. Solar alignment produces endurance, produces vision, and it does not come from anyone else. Can't be borrowed, faked, or outsourced. You reconnect to this solar frequency by removing the interference. You stop identifying with emotional static. You stop outsourcing your intuition to opinions. You stop running your mind on past programs. And you begin to center your entire life around the inner current of clarity and purpose. This is the real meaning of as above, so below. It is not about imitation, it's about activation. When your internal system reflects the harmony of cosmic law, your external life reflects it back. There is no bypass. There is no shortcut. But there is structure. The sun never questions its place. And neither should you. Reconnect to your solar core, and everything begins to orbit you differently, not out of force but out of resonance. You become the organizing principle of your own life. Not a reactor. Not a seeker. But a generator. As above, so below. As within, so without. This is not a belief. It's a law. And when you finally align with it, chaos ends, not because the world stops shifting, but because you've stopped being movable. There's a moment that doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't come with angels or downloads or visions. It comes with silence. A different kind of silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of noise, the mental, emotional, spiritual interference that has been running your life without your awareness. When that silence arrives, everything stops. Not because the world has changed, but because you finally have. That moment is awakening. Not the version sold through trends or taught through fluffy language, but the actual shift that reorients your entire being. It's not an escape from reality. It's the moment you step into it fully for the first time, without filters, without coping, without distortion. To awaken is to stop confusing reaction with intelligence, emotion with truth, identity with essence. It's not becoming something new. It's removing everything that was never yours to begin with. You're not becoming awakened. You're remembering what was always there beneath the programming. Awakening isn't a breakthrough. It's a breakdown of illusion. And when that illusion collapses, what remains is awareness. Sharp, clear, steady awareness. Not the kind that floats above life, but the kind that sees through it with precision. You stop seeing the world as happening to you, and you start seeing it as happening through you. That's the final shift. That's when your perception detaches from the puppet strings of the unconscious mind, and you begin to experience life in its raw, unfiltered clarity. In that state, the need to control disappears. Not because you give up, but because you realize the need itself was a product of misalignment. You no longer chase outcomes to validate your worth. You no longer hold onto people to fill the emptiness. You no longer perform. You simply are. And in that state of being, everything becomes lighter, not easier, but more fluid. Resistance fades. Clarity returns. Patterns that used to trap you dissolve because you no longer feed them with your attention. And without your attention, they cannot survive. Awakening is the power of withdrawal, not in the passive sense, but in the conscious reclaiming of your energy from everything unworthy of it. The awakened state isn't free from emotion. It's free within emotion. You still feel anger, sadness, doubt, but you no longer drown in them. You observe. You integrate. You act. The space between stimulus and response becomes vast. And in that space, you regain your sovereignty. Every choice becomes intentional. Every word becomes deliberate. Time no longer owns you. You own your presence within it. That presence begins to shape your reality, not through law of attraction gimmicks, but through the magnetic power of alignment. When your four bodies are in sync and your awareness is anchored in truth, your field becomes impenetrable to noise and highly receptive to signal. People often ask, what happens after awakening? The answer is both simple and radical. You begin. That's the part no one talks about. Awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the start of the real one. It's when your actions stop being compulsions and start being declarations. It's when your healing stops being a project and starts being a way of life. You stop treating growth as a destination and start living it as a moment-to-moment practice. This is where you move from seeker to source, from being pushed by pain to being pulled by clarity. You stop fearing the unknown because you've finally made peace with not needing control. And paradoxically, this is where you gain it. You begin to see the codes embedded in every experience, the opportunity in every setback, the clarity in every trigger. Life doesn't get easier. You just stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. You walk lighter, speak less, listen more. And when you do speak, it carries weight. Your presence begins to shift rooms, not through charisma, but through coherence. People feel it. Some will be drawn. Others will be repelled. But none will be unaffected, because an awakened being changes the environment simply by existing within it. Not through performance, through presence. This is why most people avoid true awakening. Comes with responsibility. Once you see clearly, you can't unsee. You can't pretend to be asleep. You can't blame. You can't bypass. You are now accountable for your frequency, your choices, your energy. And that level of accountability is terrifying to the ego. But it is freedom to the soul. You no longer live from reaction, you live from rhythm. Your own rhythm. You sync with life without losing yourself in it. You give without depletion. You love without attachment. You build without anxiety. And you release without fear. This is not neutrality. This is mastery. When you reach this point, the idea of becoming anything loses its grip. You recognize that what you are is enough, not because you've convinced yourself to believe it, but because you've burned through everything that said otherwise. The inner war is over. The roles you played dissolve. The masks drop. What's left is stillness, strength, awareness. From that state, you do not need to prove. You simply express. You do not need to possess. You simply connect. You stop seeking to find yourself in others and instead recognize yourself in everything. This is not a concept. It's a state of being, and it changes everything. So what really happens when you awaken? You lose the noise. You lose the performance. You lose the illusion, and you gain reality. Pure, raw, brilliant reality. Not the version sold to you, not the version shaped by fear, but the one you were always meant to live from. A life of presence. A life of power. A life of clarity. This is what you came for. Not to survive, not to fit in, but to awaken, to remember, to radiate. And maybe the most important question now is this. If your awakening changes the way the universe moves around you, what's been waiting for you on the other side of silence? If this message resonated with you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a shift. The real journey starts here.